everybody, it's Emily, and this is my mid-July wrap-up. Can you believe it's already July 15th? It's crazy. It's really crazy. And I am going to Orlando in a few days, and I'm not ready. But I have had a pretty decent reading month thus far. I have completed 2 books, I DNF'd 1 book, and I am in the middle of reading a 4th book. So the first book that I finished was Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare. Just keep going with Christina's kind of quasi-read-along for the Shadowhunter books, and this is the first book in the Infernal Devices trilogy, and I was super excited to give this trilogy a reread because I enjoy it way more than the Mortal Instruments, although I don't enjoy the Mortal Instruments. I totally enjoy the Mortal Instruments, but I just thought that the Infernal Devices trilogy was put together so much better. You can tell that Cassandra Clare is kind of getting into her own writing style and her own stories because she originally kind of came from a fan fiction place, which is great, and I totally encourage that, but you can tell when you read her Mortal Instruments series, and so when you get to the Infernal Devices, she's coming into her own. Jem is one of my all-time favorite characters in the Shadowhunters books, and as much as I love Magnus, and I love Simon, and some of those other characters, Jem, I just am reminded of how much I love Jem. And this is actually the series that originally got me interested in the Shadowhunter books, because I remember seeing these books on the shelves at the stores like when they were first coming out, and they looked so interesting, but then I found out they were prequels to this other series. And while I know you can totally read this trilogy outside of the other one, I really wanted to read them all in publication order, and so that's what I did. And yeah, it's just, they're awesome. They're so good. And so it is a historical fiction slash fantasy paranormal slash steampunk series, and it's awesome, and it makes me really happy. And so I'm giving it 4 stars. The fangirl in me gives me more like closer to 5, but I still realize that there are some things about her writing that still aren't the greatest, and so that's why I'm giving it 4. And then I read City of Fallen Angels, also by Cassandra Clare. It is the 4th book in the Mortal Instruments series, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it 3.5 stars, mainly because I do enjoy the Infernal Devices more than the Mortal Instruments, and so for the most part I'm giving all the Mortal Instruments books 3 to 3.5 stars, just because I want to show that I like the other ones better. But I do think that her writing is getting better in this one, and I really enjoyed this book because I'm all about the supporting characters. Again, I love Simon, I love Magnus, and Alec, and Isabel, and honestly, I'm not a huge fan of Jace and Clary. I think they're kind of boring, and I think they're pretty unremarkable as a couple, and they're just not my thing. And I get why people like them, but they're just not for me. And so I really like this book because while there is a lot of focus on Jace and Clary, there's a lot more focus on the other characters as well, and I really love seeing their journeys. And then we have my DNF'd book. Spindle Fire. So this is a young adult retelling of Sleeping Beauty, and I was super excited about it because it's like 2 sisters, and they both had like disabilities, because one sister was blind, and then the other sister didn't have the sense of touch, and she couldn't speak. Like, she could hear, but she couldn't speak. And so I was really, really interested in it, and it was really intriguing premise, and I love STEM fantasy, and I love retellings, and I'm also a judge for the YA BookTube Awards in the retellings category, and this was a new release this year, so I wanted to read it. And yeah, I just could not get into it. The main reason is because she wrote this book in 3rd person present tense. So it was like she is walking across the room and picks up a thing, and she feels like this, and she talks like this, and it was just super bizarre. And I'm sitting here wondering, like, 1, don't write in 3rd person present tense because it's super weird and I can't do it. I couldn't handle it. And 2, what editor was like, yes, author, this is a good idea? Like, dude, like, as an editor, like, isn't it your job to, like, when authors have bad ideas, for you to be like, hey, that's not a good idea? I mean, I guess, like, the author does have the power to say whether or not they're going to follow the editor's advice. So maybe there was an editor or an agent or somewhere down the line telling her that this was a bad idea, but she chose not to listen. But oh my gosh, like that really was legitimately the main reason I put this book down. Like, and there were other reasons as well that I think the disability stuff, like, I was super excited about, but then, like, one of the characters was magically healed not even 100 pages in, and while the other one, as far as I could tell, was still going to have hers, the one character was, like, magically healed, and that really kind of annoyed me. And just the characters, like, they weren't all that remarkable to me, and I couldn't get into it. And so, if it's nominated for the BookTube Awards, I'll pick it up, and maybe I'll like it more the second time around, but just at this point, not my thing. But that freed me up to read my next book, and that is When Dimple Met Rishi by Sandhya Menon. I'm so sorry, I am butchering this name. I feel like I'm being the douchey characters that she's talking about in this book who can't pronounce names. And I'm sorry, I'm awful. And I tried to look it up. There's like this website that I know of where they like help you pronounce author names, and she wasn't on there. Which I'll link that website down below in the doobly-doo because it's actually pretty helpful. But anyway, this is a young adult contemporary. It just released this summer, and it is about these two characters, Dimple and Rishi, and they are put together in an arranged marriage. However, Dimple is unaware, but Rishi is, and they end up going to the same camp where they are going for coding and learning how to code for an app, which is really, really cool, which is something that Dimple is very passionate about. And they meet there, and basically, it does not go well when Dimple finds out about this arranged marriage. And it kind of goes from there, and they are partners for the project. And so far, it is really, really cute. I'm learning a lot. I really like the talk about their Indian culture and learning more about that. And it's also just a cute young adult contemporary romance, which is always a really good time. And I am about halfway through, and we'll see where it goes. So there you go. Read 2 books, DNF'd 1 book, and currently reading 1 book. So, not too bad so far. I will be participating in the Read Your E-Reader-a-thon. Unfortunately, I'm going to be traveling during the BookTube-a-thon, and so I figured that wasn't really a good read-a-thon for me to participate in, but I will have my Read Your E-Reader-a-thon TBR coming up soon. Let me know what you've read so far this month. If you've read any of the books that I've read, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I will see you all later. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!